The atrocity at Isvan V, or better known as the Drop Site Massacre, annihilated the forces of the Iron Hands, the Salamanders, and the Raven Guard. Victory for the traitors was cemented with the beheading of the Primarch Ferrus Manus at the hands of Fulgrim. With 90% of his legion dead, Corax had to resort to extreme measures to bring his Raven Guard back to fighting strength. Upon the Moon of Deliverance, Corax began the Raptor Project. But what if Chaos had already corrupted the Raven Lord? What is up, guys? It's the Sound Alchemist, part of One Mind Syndicate, and today we are talking about Warhammer 40K. In this video, we continue the What If series, where we talk about the scenario: what if the Loyalist became corrupted by Chaos? This time, let's take a look into the fall of the Raven Guard. As Corax spent hours upon hours on the Raptor Project, he would take breaks and venture towards the dark side of the moon. Deep into the darkness peering, long I stood there, wondering, fearing, doubting, dreaming dreams no mortal ever dared to dream before. That's when he came upon an epiphany. He had to fight fire with fire. Corvus ventured into the Immaterium as a shadow. This shadow walk would lead him into the well of demon blood. Standing before the pit of endless woe, he thought about each one of his legionnaires' death at the hands of the traitors. No longer would he see one of his own perish, and as he dove into the bloody depths, he whispered his last word: nevermore. The psychic backlash of the death of the Primarch was the final step towards completing the Raptor Project. These new Marines were more monster than man. The chaotic touch of the ruinous powers mutated them. They had feathers akin to that of crows. Some even had beaks, talons, and even stranger still, some could produce a paralyzing screech. The last true-born Astartes of the Raven Guard hid their brethren for as long as they could. Each hunt against the heretic Astartes brought the Raptors closer towards being discovered by the Imperium. But the Raptor Marines would partake in consuming the dead. They would allow no trace of their chaotic prey to remain. Their talons and beaks, strong enough to crush power armor, their stalking battle tactics, became devastating ambushes. They were indeed apex predators, but these predators could not be known to the grander Imperium, for the Codex Astartes would never accept them. However, the years went on, and the battles became fiercer. Eventually, the last remnants of the Raven Guard were no more. Only monsters remained. The little bits of humanity that remained within the Raptors led them towards praising the Emperor as the Carrion Lord. His half-death state became a reflection of their legion. No longer were they Raven Guard. Now they stalked Chaos as the Murdered. In the dark corners of the Immaterium, no Chaos Marine is safe, for where a bloody feather falls, the Murdered feed. And with that being said, guys, we've come to the end of this video. Somewhat. At least to the end of the lore part. I hope you guys really enjoy that little bit of a what if fan lore, and if you did, please subscribe, because every Tuesday and Friday, Gershwin and I will be bringing these Loyalist turned Chaos videos. So just to keep you guys in on the loop, Gershwin and I have split the 8 Loyalist chapters in half, so I have 4, he has 4. Of course, you are seeing the first one here with the Raven Guard, and next week I will be putting out the Dark Angels. So every Friday I will have a what if the Loyalist turned traitor, and every Tuesday Gershwin will be doing his version of what if Loyalist chapter became traitor. So with the Dark Angels, there's a lot of avenues to explore, since they already kinda have traitors in their midst. You have the Unforgiven, the Fallen, what is going on with Cypher, Luther, who is the reason why the Dark Angel chapters even has traitors, was captured on the rock, then he was set loose, so there is a ton of avenues to explore. So with that being said, guys, I'll see you next Friday for more What If. But of course, in the meantime, we also have 40K videos to enjoy, so that's all I got. In this instance, Corvus Corax's desire for both revenge and a revival for his legion is what led him to become Chaos Undivided. I mixed in there the elements from the old retconned lore, such as the renegade chaos god Malal and the Raptor project from the Horus Heresy. Their battle tactics didn't really change much. If anything, they got augmented, especially with that of their psychic scream. And in the official lore, the Raptor project got sabotaged by the Alpha Legion by like demon blood or something like that. So that kind of did still happen here, but it was more of the sacrifice of their Primarch that led these raptors towards becoming huge hulking monstrosities, something akin to that of an Ogren and a Crow fusion. Now in my fan lore, they don't really grow huge. They instead become more avian-like than, Ogren-like, but still, there's a lot of similarities that I did pull from the original lore there. Now, when I gave them beaks capable of piercing power armor, razor-sharp talons, and pitch-black feathers, that was mostly just for aesthetic purposes. It did cross my mind to give them the ability to fly, but seeing a 10-foot power-armored crowman seemed a bit too silly, even for 40K standards. But anyway, guys, thank you for watching, and remember that every Tuesday and Friday, these vids will indeed be coming out, so stay subscribed because we put out 40K videos each and every day, so you'll have some 40K content to binge in between waiting for these What If episodes. Again, guys, a subscription would be amazing. If you want to go even more than just doing that, we do have a super thanks, so you guys can donate directly to the channel. That will help us tremendously. Or you could head on over to Patreon. That's another way of helping us by donating. But if not, we understand. Liking, commenting, subscribing, and sharing will also do a lot, and it doesn't cost a penny. So as always, guys, I've been the Sound Alchemist, part of One Mind Syndicate, and that's all I got for today. Peace.
When it comes to the Salamanders Space Marine chapter, it is renowned for how kind they are to a normal, everyday Imperial citizen. This chapter actually cares about the well-being of normal human beings, a trait not seen in any other Space Marine chapter. This uncharacteristically humble outlook on the safety of humanity, coupled with their devotion to the Emperor of Mankind, makes it very difficult to imagine an alternate universe in which the Salamanders chapter is a traitor legion, instead of the devoted and protective Loyalist chapter it is in the current era. However, that's not going to stop us from exploring the possibility of a Salamanders chapter that betrayed the Emperor of Mankind during the Horus Heresy and devoted themselves to the worship of chaos. And that's today's topic on another episode of 40 Facts About the 40K Universe. If you're new to the channel, allow me to introduce myself. I am your host Gersh1, your guide through the grimdark universe of Warhammer 40,000. Now, if you enjoy this style of what-if scenario videos, I suggest you subscribe to the channel because for the entire month I will be creating these types of theory videos. And you can show your appreciation for this series by hitting the like button or giving us a super thanks. It's an excellent way to show your support, but with all that said, let's get into 40 facts and lore on traitor salamanders. Let's begin by taking a look at how a Chaos Salamander chapter would wage war against the Corpse Emperor and all of his brainwashed minions. Currently, the chapter is renowned for its expertise in the use of Melta and Flamer weapons. They have mastered the art of getting in close to the enemy and burning away swaths of troops and melting away any armored foe. A Chaos version of the Salamanders would be no different, but unlike the tactically efficient Loyalists, these traitors would use fire and ash to strike fear into the hearts of their enemies. The sounds of raging flames and the screaming of burned victims would echo through every battlefield marched upon by the Chaos Salamanders. Fire would become the Traitor Legion's calling card. Entire hive cities and manufactorums would become infernos of suffering as these pyromaniacs spread their violence across the galaxy. What would be interesting to see is the Salamander's utilization of warp flames. This could be through the use of sorcery or actual warp weapons, like the ones used by the Thousand Sons. These chaos-corrupted weapons would unleash gouts of transformic fire that mutates any being caught within its path. The enemy's skin would boil and their bones would bend as the warp flames twist their bodies until they can't take it anymore. This emphasis on burning their enemies to a crisp would strike terror in the minds of Imperial military forces and ignite a reputation of destruction for a Chaos Salamander chapter. Now, aside from the use of flamers and melta-weapons, Salamanders are also renowned for their ability to forge great relics and artificer items, a trait possessed not only by their Primarch, but also passed down by the culture of their homeworld of Nocturne. What I can see happening in a chaos-corrupted Salamander Legion is the forging of demons into their weapons. Under the guidance of the Chaos Gods, the masterful Tech Marines would dive into the forbidden lore of the Dark Mechanicus and gain the knowledge to trap the souls of chaos entities into their relics, much like the Hellforges found within the Immaterium today. Now let's be clear, no demon wants to be trapped in a lifeless object, and so these demonic weapons, forged by the corrupted Salamanders, would only be wielded by the most sadistic warriors of the Warband, a warrior capable of quenching the thirst for blood and slaughter that each demon weapon requires. Those that are not brutal enough to please the demon within would be betrayed by the weapon itself. Like all warp-touched items, these weapons would whisper words of corruption into the minds of each salamander, hoping to break their will and allow their bodies and souls to mutate into chaos spawn. Which brings us to the next very important topic to discuss, the mutating effects that would plague a chaos-corrupted Salamander Legion. Like all traitors, the bodies of the Salamanders would inevitably change due to the corruptive powers of the Chaos Gods, and we can get a good sense of what they would look like by taking a look at the rumored successor chapters of the Salamanders, the Black Dragons. You see, through a flaw in their gene seed, the Black Dragons develop protruding bone-like growths on their heads and forearms. This abnormality is more than likely also found within the Salamander's gene seed. Now, given the mutating effects of the warp, this strange gene seed flaw would run rampant all throughout the traitor Salamanders. Spikes would sprout from all limbs, and crowns of horns would jut out of their craniums. Their obsidian black skin would also harden, giving each traitor the appearance of a demonic statue more so than a living being. The fire-red eyes ubiquitous with the chapter would also burn brighter as the powers of the warp surged through their bodies. Now, the most shocking part would be the sheer size of these Chaos Salamanders, as they are already some of the largest Space Marines in the Imperium, but once empowered by the Chaos Gods, they would tower over every soldier created by the Emperor of Mankind. Now, as a mockery to the massive reptiles found on their homeworld of Nocturne, I would not be surprised if a few of these traitor Marines develop reptilian features, such as tails, scaly skin, and serpent-like tongues. Others would succumb fully to their bestial mutations and become dragon-like entities. As far as their culture, the Chaos Salamanders would modify their beliefs, but still hold on to some twisted form of the Promethean cult. That means isolationism would still be practiced, believing that only through malevolent actions performed alone could a corrupted Space Marine truly get closer to a Chaos God. Their rituals would continue to be centered around flames, but would take on a more sadistic element, sacrificing their victims on a massive pyre or outright burning everything they can get their hands on. And instead of showing humility towards humanity, the Chaos Salamanders would enslave every human soul captured. Retinues of human slaves would follow each corrupted salamander, praising them as their loyalist counterparts praises the Emperor. Each slave would be branded with a mark of their master, a contrast to the ritual scarring that current-day salamanders undergo. These slaves would come from their homeworld of Nocturne, a volcanic world turned into a literal hell, where demonic entities swim in the lava pools and burning effigies of the Chaos Gods are venerated. Now, which Chaos God would be the patron god of the Traitor Salamanders chapter is not very difficult to assume. The chapter's affinity towards flames, coupled with its homeworld's lava aesthetic, makes you think of the realm of the blood god Khorne, whose domain is filled with literal fire pits and rivers of lava and blood. Now, the Salamander's affinity towards metalworks also calls the imagery of Khorne, the god of brass and steel. We could make the argument that a Chaos Salamander's chapter might be the first Traitor Legion to be devoted to the Forge of Souls, the most powerful Hellforge in the Warp, but even in temperament I feel like the God of Rage would be a better match, as Khorne's bloodlust is a sharp contrast to the patience and caring demeanor of a Loyalist Salamander's chapter. And what that means is that the ubiquitous green of the Salamanders would have to change to some shade of red and black, perhaps a tone similar to the giant red salamanders of their homeworld of Nocturne, or some form of brass. Now, as awesome as it would be to theorize about a chaos-corrupted Vulcan, the Primarch of the Salamanders chapter, that will be saved for a different video. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on that, and I hope you enjoyed watching this quick theory video, but now I pass it over to you. What do you think a Chaos Salamanders Legion would look like? Please let me know down in the comment section below, and again, if you enjoyed this style of content, drop us a super like, share with your friends, or simply burn the like button by clicking on it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I can't wait to talk to you guys in the comment section. This was Gershwin with One Mind Syndicate signing out.
We are the angels of darkness. For us there is no peace, no end but war and death. We shall not walk in the golden halls of mankind's future, but stand resolute in the shadows beyond. While we yet draw breath, this Imperium will not fall, and we will not know defeat, for I pledge every warrior, every drop of blood in the Legion in the name of victory, no matter the cost. This ideology, amongst other reasons, could be the starting point for the fall of the Dark Angels Legion. So let's explore what if the Dark Angels became chaotically corrupted. What is up, guys? It's the Sound Alchemist, part of One Mind Syndicate, and today I'm back to talk about Warhammer 40K. So this topic is all about the what if scenario if the Dark Angels fell to the ruinous powers of chaos. We have a playlist that we've done on this, talking about the Salamanders, talking about the Raven Guard, and now we've come to the Dark Angels. So what happens when Loyalist Marines fall to chaos? What are the steps that began their descent to chaos? Let's find out with the Dark Angels. The prideful roar of the lion echoed across the galaxy. The first legion of Astartes fought alongside the Emperor during the tail end of the Unification War, ending the Thunder Warrior and becoming the prototype for the rest of the Space Marines to come. Upon their Primarch being found and taking his place as commander, the Dark Angels were organized into 6 wings. The Storm Wing, Mass Infantry Tactics. The Death Wing, Elite Veteran Warriors and Line Breakers. The Raven Wing, the Mobile Assault Force. The Iron Wing, the Armor and Artillery Experts. The Fire Wing, Secret Operations. And the Dread Wing, the brutal, get it done no matter what warriors of the Legion. Unfortunately, chaos bled the First Legion due to the corruption of Luther and many other Calibanite Astartes, leading into a devastating war that broke Caliban apart and created the Rock. This war placed Lionel Johnson into a deep slumber. Since then, the Dark Angels have harbored a sinister secret, an act so terrible and shameful that it threatens everything they hold dear, and it may bring them eternal damnation. This is the curse of the fallen angel. This secret could not be unveiled to the greater Imperium, and as such, the fallen angels have been hunted and forced to absolve their sins via execution, but not before interrogation, as so they can find out the whereabouts of the rest of their traitorous brethren. 10,000 years of secrecy attracted the gaze of none other but the changer of way, Tzeentch. One by one, each member of the inner circle has become corrupted and has fallen from grace. Throughout these 10,000 years, the hunt for the fallen became more and more of a priority. The machinations of Cypher became more enigmatic. At times, he would appear to aid the Imperium's motives, but for what end goal? Try as they might, Azrael and the Inner Circle always fell short in his capture, which infuriated them even more so, for in his possession is the famed Lion Sword. After the assault on the Rock that allowed Luther to escape into the Warp, the Inner Circle began to focus all their efforts on eliminating the Fallen, to the point of ignoring their vow to the Emperor. No longer did they answer the call for the Imperium's aid. Slowly, their minds became warped by Tzeentch, deploying the forces of the Unforgiven to eliminate Loyalist Marines that the Chaptons knew wouldn't fall to chaos. These secret wars proved too much for the unaware Astartes. Even Azrael couldn't escape his assassination. Belial discovered his bloody corpse pierced with 5 Heavenfall blades. Soon after, he was captured. Interrogated for thousands of years led to his fall to chaos. It was slow, yet effective. The last nail in the coffin was Cypher driving the Lion Sword deep into the chest of Lionel Johnson, ending the life of the Primarch and sending a warp backlash to all the Astartes. This was the trigger to their demonic metamorphosis. The Changer of Way blessed the Dark Angels in many ways. Some were grotesque tentacled things, others looked more avian than anything before. This is what the Dark Angels have become. No longer are they the Angels of Death, the spear tip of the Emperor's might. Now they are a secret coven dedicated to secret wars across the Imperium. The Angels of Tzeentch. And there you have it, guys. Just a quick little what-if scenario as to how the Dark Angels can fall to chaos. I think the main thing here is the secrecy around the inner circle and everything that has gone wrong with the chapter. I mean, because honestly, they were very prideful. They fought alongside the Emperor. They fought against, the Thunder Warriors, the Unification Wars, the Horus Heresy. They were the first, there's pride that comes with that. But this blemish on their pride could not be seen, and because of that, it led to repression, secrecy, subterfuge, and all that plays directly into the palm of Tzeentch. Cypher's machinations, the Unforgiven, the Fallen, all this led to a culmination of apotheosis for the chapter to transcend into chaos. And unfortunately, I could easily see that happening, but at the same time, Azrael, Belial, the Inner Circle, they're doing, at least in this version of 40K, the official version, they're doing pretty good to stave away chaos and to hunt what needs to be hunted. After all, they were hunting beasts in Caliban. What's the difference from hunting beasts in the form of Astartes that have turned their gaze away from the light of the Emperor? So let me know your thoughts down below. Does this make sense? Will this be an interesting what-if scenario to explore with other Loyalist chapters? Obviously, we have the Imperial Fists, we've got the Iron Warriors, Gilliman's Ultramarines, the Blood Angels, so there's a lot more to explore here. And like I said previous, if you do want to check out the playlist, we do have what-if scenarios on the Raven Guard and the Salamanders. So with that being said, guys, thank you for watching, thank you for listening, and if you guys do want to support us here at One Mind Syndicate, we have a Patreon page. There's a super thanks option on the video here, or you can just support us by liking, commenting, sharing the video, and subscribing. Thanks again, guys. This has been the Sound Alchemist, part of One Mind Syndicate, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.